What's up guys, today I'm going to be going over a lot of the exotic changes coming to both armor and weapons in Season of the Deep. And it seems like the exotics are what is really changing with Season of the Deep in terms of the meta or sandbox. So in this video I'm going to highlight a bunch I'm really looking forward to, and ones that you'll probably see me making builds or videos on in Season of the Deep. And before we get into all that good stuff, I want to talk about what I ate all during Lightfall and what's going to continue to save me so much time in Season of the Deep. This video is sponsored by Factor 75, a food delivery service I personally used. In life, one of the constant things is having to eat at least twice a day, and depending on if you're working or in school, sometimes that can be a real hassle. And more often than not, when you're really busy, you'll end up getting takeout or fast food, and that is where Factor comes into play. Each week, Factor will deliver as many meals as you want straight to your front door. During Lightfall, I did 10 meals per week, so that covered me for 5 of the 7 days of the week. And each meal, you just simply take it out of the fridge, pop it in the microwave for 2 minutes, and it's good to go, and you just throw it away. There's no prep, no mess. It is very convenient. While also being healthy, there's a huge variety of meals you can choose from, depending on your diet or your personal preferences, all while being pretty competitive in price compared to doing your own grocery shopping or fast food these days. So if you're ready to save time and eat healthier, use my link or go to go.factor75.com and use my code POGAIRMAY40 for 40% off plus 20% off your next month. Once you click, my description will live update to count up the purchases. Once again, thanks to Factor for sponsoring today's video. Alright, so starting off with the weapons, there's only going to be a few on this list I'm really excited about. And the first one will be Eyes of Tomorrow. Basically what they're changing to it, as you see on screen, is if you use it versus a big group of enemies, 4 or more, when you kill them, you will get the ammo back. So this could potentially be like, if you remember in vanilla with word click coil and where heavy ammo dropped from every major or ultra kill, it might have that type of vibe where it's gonna be really good for Ackler. You're just gonna be able to spam it left and right. So this could be like a really good option for huge Ackler sections in like battlegrounds or things like that. Next up, I have the Legend of Acarius, which are not changing the damage. It's been one of the best burst DPS weapons for a very long time, multiple years. The issue was its total damage output with its ammo and things like that, and that is where they're buffing it from 12 to 16. So that should help it out quite a lot, and this thing has already outputted a lot of damage as is, so that's gonna be interesting to see how good that is with all these different changes. Next up, I have the Salvation's Grip. This thing has been a complete meme since it got released, but now they're doing a complete rework to it. They're still keeping the ability to create the crystals, but now has a secondary firing mode, which is just a normal GL shot, and added a new perk where when you quickly shatter 3+ crystals, it will reload the magazine from reserves. So you could potentially shoot all but one shot of just the regular GL, shoot the crystals, then explode them, which will then reload the mag, and do that over and over again and be able to shoot off all of its ammo in a row, and potentially do some pretty good damage with the crystal explosions too on a stasis build. So this could be a pretty underrated pick, and could be quite surprising. And finally, last one for the weapons I have is Tommy's Matchbook, just because it will now apply Scorch. Every 5th shot will apply 14 or 21 with Ember of Ashes. So with the AR buff, and with just how good Scorching and Ignitions are, that could be pretty good. But now moving on to the armor, there's going to be a lot of armor I'm really excited about. If you've already looked at the changes, more or less all of them are really cool, and I'll probably be making a video on almost all of them, but it's quickly highlighting the ones I think are the best. Starting off with Hunter, we have the Sealed Amkar Grasp, and this will now reload all of your weapons when you get a melee final blow, which could lead to some pretty interesting DPS strategies where you're cycling through all of your weapons and never have to reload any of them. So that could be pretty good. And next up, I have the Oathkeeper, where now when fully drawn, bows gain a bonus to damage against combatants that increases as you hold the draw, but deactivates after a few seconds. So it's unclear what this percent will be and how long it takes to reach it. But if that is high, that could be really good for not only like high-end Ackler like in GMs with just a primary bow, but it could be interesting with the Leviathan's Breath if it kind of outweighs the amount of time you have to draw. if the ratio is like correct, it will obviously result in more damage output, but maybe potentially more DPS, not sure. But either way, more damage out of bows is really good. Even in GMs, you might be able to like one hit most enemies. Then for the Life and Breath, you might be able to one hit champions, which will conserve more of your ammo. So that could be a really good pick. Next up, we have the Harness, where now once your arc staff super runs out, you will create a blinding explosion, and it will increase your arc weapon damage. So depending on if that stacks, how high that is, and how long it is, that could be interesting, but probably not. But honestly, I'm not really holding my breath, but it could be cool. While on the other hand, the Radiant Dance Machines sound like they're going to provide some of the coolest builds maybe ever in the game. Kills while your free dodge is active, extend the duration of free dodging, which means, in theory, like in a strike, battleground, where there's a lot of ads one after another, you might be able to like keep this going the entire time, which means infinite marksman dodges, so infinite free reloads, and with armor mods like Reaper and things like that, you'll be creating all kinds of orbs, picking those up. It really sounds like there are infinite possibilities with this exotic on different subclasses on Hunter. So definitely one I'm really looking forward to. And now moving on to Titan, first with the point contact cannon brace. I hated these when they came out. I thought they were basically useless, but they're upping its damage and making it jolt targets. And while being amplified, it will even further increase the damage by 50% instead of extending their range. So it looks like they're getting way more damage, and it will jolt. And with the different builds in the game where you can get abilities back extremely fast, this could be extremely good. Next on Titan, I have the Second Chance, where the shield throw melees now weaken enemies. And when you stun a barrier champion with your shield throw, you will get the charge back. So this could be really good for solo lost sectors as a way to not only stun the barrier champions, but also weaken them. So I think this might be a really good pick for Leans with champions, either solo or in a fire team. And the final two on Titan, really only one is the Eternal Warrior, but kind of goes hand in hand with the Path of the Burning Steps. They both will do basically the same thing now, where as you get kills with arc weapons with Eternal Warrior or Solar with Path of the Burning Steps, you'll get a non-stacking weapon buff up to ×4, which will be 25% higher than that of Surges, but it will not stack with Surges. And once you're at ×4 and you get more weapon final blows, it will extend the duration of the timer. So they both seem like just a good all-around exotic to put on when you're really concentrating on that element type. So overall, a pretty cool change to Eternal Warrior. And finally on Warlock, you have to start off talking about the Starfire Protocol, the nerf that we talked about last season, where you're going to be getting roughly only an eighth of the energy back that you are currently in the game. But empowered weapon kills now grant 20% grenade energy, so Starfire Protocol for journal play, I think might still be pretty good. But for using it for a boss fight, it still might be an okay option because you'll still get at least 2, maybe 3 fusion grenades off, which will still be adding a decent amount of damage, right? But it's definitely not nearly as strong as it is now. There's definitely room for new exotics. So out of this list of changes, the ones I'm looking forward to the most on Warlock is Vesper Radius. I used to have a lot of fun with a build like this on Stasis, but now with Vesper, every 5 seconds it will emit a shockwave, doing a decent amount of damage, and when those enemies die, they will do an additional shockwave explosion, which will also blind enemies if you're playing Arc subclass. So there could be a few cool builds with that, but one that definitely grabbed my attention was the Chromatic Fire change. Increase the radius and damage of explosion, but now the explosion also applies a status effect to targets depending on which subclass you're on. So it'll be blind, scorch, slow, sever, and weaken. So Chromatic Fire basically just turn every weapon into like Ace of Spades explosions, right? But now you will also get the main 3.0 thing that the subclass does, which is very good. Turning any kinetic weapon into a weapon that can weaken, can scorch, can blind, that is pretty good. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. That could be extremely strong. We also have the Dawn Chorus, where the Daybreak projectiles damage bonus has been increased and no longer is reliant on the enemy being scorched. So where the Starfire Protocol won't be as good for boss fights, this might kind of take up its place, and more likely will be the best total damage output super on Warlock. So that could be a pretty good pick. And finally, the last one I have on this list is the Sanguine Alchemy. And I have this one on my list, not because I'm necessarily looking forward to it, mostly because I'm confused. It could be pretty cool. Now, where Standing in a Rift grants a non-stacking bonus to weapon damage matching your subclass damage type. This damage bonus is equivalent to 2 Surge Lake mods, so 17% in PvE. So it's kind of confusing, right? It says a non-stacking, which means it won't stack with Surges, right? But does it stack with an Empowering Rift? Like, I would assume so, but the way they just say non-stacking makes it seem like it just doesn't stack. So that would be pretty confusing if it didn't, and more or less be pointless, but I'm assuming it does. So if it does, that could be pretty cool. But really, doesn't really do anything if you just run Surges. So overall, I'm not sure. And those were all of the exotic changes I'm looking forward to the most, and ones you'll probably see me be making videos on this season. And as you guys know, once season comes out, I should be uploading daily for almost a month, if not longer. It does look like I'll be extremely busy the first week of the season. I don't plan on missing a single day. If I do, it's because I'm going to be out of town and just generally really busy. But once we get into the flow, definitely daily videos, if not double uploads, because there is a chance I might put a decent amount of attention into the new TFT set, which comes out the 4th week of the Destiny season. And that's because over the past year, I've constantly gotten better and better at the game. And this most recent set, I peaked at rank 40 in North America. And with a new set coming out, not only is it obviously fun to play, but there's also tournaments that take place where to qualify, you generally have to be top 160-ish in your region. And the past 2 sets, I've been higher than that, and I would be able to qualify if I played it when it came out. I'm usually several weeks behind because I'm playing Destiny and playing catch-up and too late to qualify for said tournaments. So that's definitely a goal of mine to be able to play in those tournaments in the upcoming set. So I'll probably start playing that when it comes out, but we'll try to still push out Destiny videos in the morning as long as I have good videos to make. And that shouldn't be too big of an issue because by roughly week 4 of the season, I should have most of the weapons grinded and things like that. So really I won't have to play too much to make videos. I can just make videos based off the things I already have. So hopefully I'll still be pushing out my 30 plus videos like usual. Anyways, like usual, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys when the season comes out.